Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Humor in Chaos podcast. I'm Sarah Hauer Nelson, certified resilience life coach and certified art therapy practitioner. And today, in today's podcast, I want to talk about what is often a touchy subject, and that is the subject of forgiveness. And it's blog post number 12 in my book, Searching for Joy, Humor, and Chaos, which is just a printout of my blog. You can forego the book and you can go read the blog for free. It's not a problem. But forgiveness is the topic of chapter 12. And I stated right in there that it's a difficult topic to cover because it's quite vast, extensive, personal, oftentimes painful subject, more often than not. And but I want to take it from a slightly different angle as to the reason why it's important. But before I do that, I want to lay out where you can find the podcast. It's on YouTube, it's on Apple Podcasts, and it's on Podbean. And just search the Humor in Chaos podcast, and it should pop up, or you can find it on my website, www.humorinchaos.com. And again, I am always looking for new guests, and I am in need of some again. So email me if you've got guests, humorinchaos@gmail.com. Okay, so forgiveness. I've got a lot of experience with trying to forgive people who have done extraordinarily detrimental things in my life. And not just to me, but to people very close to my heart. And I've helped them struggle with their forgiveness of other people, those who have been on the victimized side of things. And it's not an easy path. And I don't want to hark too much on the people that are the victim of abuse or betrayal or whatever has happened, that they've been hurt. None of us are guilt-free either of having hurt someone, either intentionally or unintentionally. Most oftentimes it's unintentionally. But I want to take this from a completely different mindset, a different explanation. And I want to take it from a perspective of physics. And I am not a physicist. My bachelor's degree that I have is actually in anthropology, specifically archaeology. And my specialty in archaeology was lithics analysis, what's lithics analysis? It's stone tools. And so my background is stone tool technology. So what does that have to do with physics? Well, again, I'm not a physicist, but still, I do recall taking classes, science classes in elementary, high school, and beyond, and learning about the first law of thermodynamics. If anyone who's taken science classes in elementary through the 6th grade, you've heard of the term kinetic energy, potential energy, and kinetic energy. And it goes back to, and I have it here on my phone, I'm reading it, the law of conservation of energy, also known as the first law of thermodynamics. Okay, you can find this right on Google and AI. And it's the fundamental principle in physics that asserts that while energy can change from one form to another or be transferred between objects, the total amount of energy in an isolated system remains constant over time. So basically, what that means is you can't create energy and you can't destroy energy. You can only change it. You can change its properties, its location, its whatever. You can go from the potential energy of about to throw a ball and the kinetic energy of throwing the ball. And this is especially important for somebody who has chronic illness, such as what I have, lupus, in that we often feel like we are drained of energy. I myself talk about it all the time. I am drained of energy. I am super tired. And that's how it feels. It feels sometimes, I'll be doing something and then all of a sudden out of the blue, the energy in my body will just feel like it has drained away, like it's like water going down the drain of a tub that doesn't have a plug in it. It's just, shoom, it's gone and I have to go to bed and sleep. But the reality is the energy that I had in my body didn't go away. It didn't drain away. It got changed. And what is happening is it's, oh, I have a message. It is, I'm going to put this on silent for now. It is changed to the mode of my body sleeping to, see, now I automatically want to say conserve energy, which actually it would. It's changing it from kinetic energy that I was doing something to now it's going to potential energy where it's building up and it's getting ready to go back to kinetic energy when I'm feeling better, when I'm not tired and when I have rested. So it isn't that the energy goes away, it's that it's converting and it needs to convert. It needs to do that. Like, or even if we are doing something or now we can't do anything, we have fatigue. Okay, it's because our body is taking what energy we have and it's using it to, like if we were a healthy person fighting off an infection of some kind, but if you've got a chronic illness such as lupus, it's actually using that energy to fight what it believes are bad things in the body, which are not actually bad things in the body, and it shouldn't be fighting. And I know this is getting more complicated than I intended because my topic is forgiveness and not chronic illness. Although it comes around to forgiving my body for misbehaving and using my energy in a way that I don't want it to use. So in that sense, you've got forgiveness here. But in general, forgiveness. Okay, so why is forgiveness important? When you've got two people in any sort of interaction, a relationship, a strong relationship, or even just a passerby, and one of them has pent up energy because they are upset about something or not feeling well or angry or whatever, they've got this pent up energy, right? So now you come along and you've encountered this person and something has happened in your interaction with this person and now this person is upset with you and now they have done something. Let's say they meant to do it or they didn't mean to do it, but now they've done or said something and now you're angry. Okay, so that person's energy that they had in their anger, they have now transferred over to you. Okay. So now you've got that energy because it doesn't dissipate, it transfers. Now you're angry. Okay, you've got choices to make here. What are you going to do with that anger? That is your decision to make. As an individual, as a human being, that is your decision. You could try to bury it deep down. Maybe this is an important relationship in your life and you don't want to have a conflict with this person because maybe you really love this person, or maybe you don't want to have a conflict with this person because you just want them to pass by in peace. If you push down that energy inside yourself, what happens to energy that gets pushed down? What happens to anger when it gets pushed down? What happens to sadness when it gets pushed down and you try to ignore it and put a cap on it? It builds and builds and builds, right? It's there, it doesn't belong there, and eventually, boom, it explodes. And then you turn around and you do the same thing to somebody else that person did to you. So now you have taken that anger energy and you have transferred it over to somebody else. Okay. Or here's another scenario. You bury it down, you try to acknowledge it, which is, acknowledging it is a good thing, and feeling it and dealing with it is a good thing, but you still have to do something with that energy, okay? It needs to be transferred. But you don't know what to do with it, you're still very angry. Okay, that energy is going to transfer itself into bitterness. Not right away, because a lot of people think that there are people who believe that if you are angry, automatically you're a bitter, resentful person. That's not true. If someone's hurt, because anger really comes from hurt, comes from sadness, having been hurt from someone or something. And people need time depending on what happened to process that hurt and that anger. So just because you have hurt or anger does not automatically mean you are bitter or resentful. But if you hold on to it, it will become resentment or bitterness because that energy has to transfer. Okay. You kept it from spewing out onto somebody else and transferring it that way. So now it's going to transfer itself into something else. And that can actually lead to things like autoimmune diseases or destroyed other relationships or whatever. So that's not a healthy choice either, is to hold on to it. Here's the better option, and it's forgiveness. And people don't want to talk about forgiveness because people have been so much in the practice and in the habit of holding on to it or burying it, covering it up, ignoring it, whatever, that the concept of forgiveness in itself creates its own pain and hurt. And so they feel like they're just adding hurt on top of hurt. But forgiveness is it's really the key to fully healing. Well, we never reach full healing. If something has happened that's deeply, deeply, deeply hurt. I mean, I had a conversation with somebody I'm very close to about this, of still having triggers from things from years ago that were very severe. Okay. There are some triggers that will never go away. They will always be there. But by healing and working through them, they lessen. They become less severe, less intense. And also, if you can learn the signs of when they're coming up, you can find healthier ways to release the hurt or the tension or whatever it is that the trigger might be happening. But a key component is forgiveness. So what happens then when you forgive is you take that energy. Okay, so this person came by and they hurt you, right? Now, if it's a minor hurt, you can take that energy and you can intentionally, because changing energy is an intention. You can intentionally decide in that moment, I'm going to forgive this person. So I'm releasing that energy. In a sense, you're transferring it right back to them. Or you can transfer it into making somebody else's day better. I'm not going to let that person make me angry or sad today. Instead, I'm going to choose, I'm going to forgive them. I'm going to accept that, hey, they're having a tough time and that's their deal. It's not my deal. And instead, I'm going to release it, let it go. And I'm going to go transfer that energy by saying hello or paying a compliment to somebody else, or, so transferring a healthier energy. You've transformed it and you're transferring it. And but if it's something more severe, like say being the victim of a crime, and you can't necessarily forgive that person, and I'll talk about in 2 weeks from now, I'm going to do a video after this one on what to do when the person doesn't accept your forgiveness. You can take that unaccepted forgiveness and you can transform that energy from it into something else, something more productive. You can help other people who have been in your situation. That's an extremely wonderful way to do this, to support somebody else. Or you can do it to better your own life. There's actually lots of ways you can transfer it into art. Okay, I have a particular painting. You can't see it here because it's around the corner over by the front door. But years ago, when I was super ill and in super pain and super confused, didn't know what was wrong with me, medications weren't working, and I was so not functioning, I transferred that all that negative energy in myself and I put it into a painting. And it's not a nice painting, it's a very ugly painting. It's a self-portrait of myself, of how I was feeling. So I transferred that energy into that painting. And every time I see that painting, I can actually see that negative energy. And I remind myself, it's on there. It's not in here. It's on there. And it's a healthy reminder of how far I've come, even though I've got more to go. Just a side note, I know people have seen the post I had about now I'm on infusions for my lupus. Don't be alarmed. It's nothing serious. It's just that the last medication that they had me on that was working really well. And I was like, oh, I'm getting back into remission because I was doing really well. Suddenly started having some nasty side effects. So took me off of that medication, trying a new one. That has to be infusions. And so praying, it works. We'll see what happens. So far, so good. But I just started it. And anyway, so if you think about forgiveness as an intentional transfer of that negative energy into a positive energy. And I think that's really key when it comes to making the decision to forgive, because I talk about that in this chapter or in this blog post particular, that, you know, forgiveness, people say that forgiveness is a decision. Forgiveness is a decision to begin the journey. Okay. It's not a one-time decision. It's not. It's a journey. It's a process. And depending on the situation and the level of hurt and the level of perception, it can take a long time. It can take a short time. But I think if you think about it in terms of intentional transferring of energy from a negative to a positive, I think that has the potential to really change people's idea of why they want to forgive and how they want to do it. And as I said, in 2 weeks from now, the next solo podcast episode is going to be what to do when the person does not want your forgiveness. They don't want to accept it. I think it's an important topic. All right, everybody, you have a wonderful day, and humor and chaos. Keep it in mind. Bye-bye.